Boom! What's going on, everyone? Kane the Wisest coming at you with another video. It's been a while, but we are back on the grind. So today we're going to go over one of the most underrated aspects of the game. Some people call it dirty. Some people call it necessary. If you like forge points, well, this one is going to be a banger for you. Certified neighborhood classic for you. We're going to be sniping some peeps in the hood, getting that street cred up. So, first, we start from the bottom. Start from the bottom, now we're here. Alright, so we're going to see what these guys on the bottom have. Usually it's not much. If I don't see any forge points and it's a really low building, I don't really even bother. It's not worth my time. Boop boop. So essentially what we're doing here is we're going to be looking for buildings that are overprimed, and I'll kind of go over how to spot check that. See, I've already sniped or attempted to snipe a couple of these people. That's probably not going to be good enough for me. Nah, that's not good. You know what? I'm just going to jump into someone I already know has a snipeable building. Old Slippy 52. Appreciate you, big dog. Actually, no, it's not him. It's just the similar avatar. Alright, pretty sure it's Mr. Hundo. Hundo the Great's Great Buildings. Say that 5 times fast. Alright, so I already kind of checked out, scoped out some of these buildings. No pun intended. So, Temple of Relics. I don't think this was the one, but let's see. Let's see if we can jump that guy. We cannot. Okay. Man, did someone really come in after me and start the snipe? Alright, cool. Perfect example right here. We got a Castel del Monte going from 30 to 31. So, if you don't know the little trick that everyone talks about, just type in 9999 until it tells you the amount of forge points required to level this. So, it's going to cost 520 forge points to level this. I'm going to go ahead and look at that top reward spot. So, this number is going to differ based on your current arc level. So, just kind of pay attention to the total, or just kind of like a ballpark number of what you would be getting if you took P1 on this. So, 285 plus 274. Just doing some quick maths here. We're looking at around like 550, right? Possible reward 550 plus, give or take. I'm not doing exact math here when I'm doing this. I'm just trying to get in a ballpark number to know if the building I'm trying to snipe is even worth me trying to do this over. So, locking up P1, I'm getting back 550. It costs 520 to level. So, I don't actually need to put in 520 to lock up P1. All I have to do is put half of what P1 is. So, I'm going to put 260 right here. And now no one can jump me. The max someone could put now is 260. And if they did that, they would be firmly at that P2 spot. First one to lock up the top spot, if it's an even number and you can't be jumped, let's say they also put 260, the first person to put 260 in this scenario would get P1. So I locked up P1 for 260 forge points, and I'm getting back 550 plus. So that's easy money right there. And I'm just gonna go ahead and scope out a couple other ones. All right, here's another one. I know for a fact that to lock up P1 and P2 on a COA, it's not going to cost you 585 to prime. So we're going to go ahead and put 9999. Going to go ahead and look at P1. Yeah, so P1 I'd be getting back, 412 forge points. Cost 328 to level it. And there's no spots that are currently taken. So 328 divided by 2, quick maths, 164. So that's another easy, juicy profit. And I just go ahead and double check, make sure that that number is correct. And it is. So I'm guaranteed to lock up that first spot. If the reward that you're getting is greater than the amount left to level the building, you're getting a pretty juicy reward back. So that's kind of the level that we're looking for here. So we go over here. This is a pretty solid one, and this would probably be a good example because it actually has other people that put forge points on it. So that's going to change up the game just a little bit. 535, doing quick maths, around what, 300 and 370 something for the possible reward. So it's not as juicy as the other two I just did, but I could still definitely I can make some profit. It's not going to be as good. 300, 370, yeah. So 535, we're going to divide that by 2 real quick. And we always want to go, if it's an odd number that we're dividing from, we always want to round up, because we don't want someone to possibly jump our spot. So considering that I am not super fantastic at math, I'm going to pull out the old handy dandy calculator. 535 divided by 2. 267.5. Alright, cool. So I'm going to go ahead and put 268. Alright, and you would think based off my other examples, boom, I'm done, right? Wrong. I have to pay attention to what the person beneath me has put down and also divide that by 2. And I'll kind of explain why real quick. So, how much is left to level? 267. Let's say MT Victory in Jesus decides to put down 267 force points. I don't even need a calculator for that. He will jump me into going into that P1 slot. So to prevent that from happening, I'm going to basically divide by 2 what he has already put on, and I'm going to go ahead and add that. So now let's look at what's left to level. 257, and then we add the amount of forge points he's put in. 276. I put in 278. I could have done one less, but you kind of get the point. You just want to get yourself to a comfortable position to where you will not get jumped for that P1 slot. So you're essentially just dividing by 2 the amount left to level, and then if there's someone who has already locked up a spot, the person right beneath you, divide what they have already put in to the building, divide that by 2, and then add that to what you've already put in. So in this case, it was, I put in 268. He had already put in 19. So I went ahead and rounded up again and put an extra 10 points to lock that top spot. Let's see. Statue of Zeus. Sick. We already know this is going to be another one. 357. 185. So yeah, I could already tell that we're going to be making pretty juicy profit, because the amount left to level is essentially what I would be getting back for P1, and I'm just going to have to put half of what's left to level to secure that top spot. So 357 divided by 2, rounded up, what, 179, I think. And let's see, it should be 178 left to level. Sick. Alright, cool. So that's another one that I'm going to be getting, almost 200 forge points back on. Arc, looks like there's a whole bunch of action already, so I'm not really trying to get into this one. If there's already a bunch of snipers, I'll do some quick calculations in my head, but yeah, that one, P4, I'm not really too interested in that. So you can see Optimia, looks like he already got in on the action, and he did snipe correctly, because there's 305 left to level, so it is impossible for me to jump him. Now, I can go ahead and lock up P2 if I wanted to. I'm not going to be getting that much of a reward. 305 divided by 2, it's going to be like 153. And then max rewards I'm going to get is, 167. So, looking at what, 14 forge points there. Not really worth the effort. You don't want too many FPs locked into something that's not really going to net you a whole lot. If you're looking to snipe, obviously, if you're in a 1.9, you're cool waiting, 24 or 48 hours, depending on what the circumstances are. So you can kind of tell that this one is leveled in prime correctly. You can see there's only 10 forge points left to level these buildings. So just opening it up, I could tell that, this was all done correctly as far as priming and posting his building. So I'm not going to worry about that, because I could see that it's good. I can kind of tell just by looking at this that this is over primed. And I also know this person, she is a self-leveler, so I could go ahead and just do another example. 905, let's see, 285 plus 274, it's giving around like 550 something. 905 divided by 2, 453. So, I'd be making, 100 FP plus on this, which isn't bad. So I'll go ahead and do that. What did I say it was? 453. And just to double check, 452 is left to level, so I cannot be jumped for that top spot. So I'll make some profit on that one as well. This is just something to do, if you're low on FP. This is definitely another one that I could get in on right here. Mr. Bob's your uncle. Good man. So I'm going to have to pay attention to this guy right here, because he does have 10 forge points on. So we'll go ahead and do another example. 328 divided by 2. It's going to be 164. 164. And since this guy right here, Argentim Volpes, put 2 forge points, I'm just going to go ahead and add another 5. And I'll go ahead and subtract 169 minus 10. It's 159. So as long as that number isn't 160, I'm good. There you go. So even if Argentim puts 159, he's going to be the second person that has the same amount of forge points. So there's no possible way that he can jump me. So I'm locked into this P2 spot, making 164 forge points profit. So there's an example. I could already tell, And if you've leveled in the 1.9 before and you've leveled some of these buildings, you know for sure that in that sweet spot, you know, especially in the 40s and 50s, even like high 30s, if the owner of the building is putting, you know, 600, 500 plus forge points on it, and only P1 is kind of locked, you know for a fact that you could snipe them for profit. So yep, gonna go ahead and do the same thing here. 339 left to level. Let's look at P2. Yeah, definitely gonna be getting solid 300 freaking 33 forge points. So, and that's 339 divided by half. Yeah, so I'm getting 100 plus forge points again for sniping this one. So we're gonna round this one up. 339, essentially 340 divided by 2. Go ahead and put 170. And since this guy again put 10 forge points, we're going to have to account for him so he doesn't jump us. And just to double check our math, 164 plus 10 is 174. So he cannot bump us there. I'll go ahead and do one more example. I don't want to do this forever. Alright, so we got a 50 in here. Cool. 145, 139, let's call that 284. Sick. So we know we're going to be making profit. 241 divided by 2, round up, is going to be 121. And then going to divide 50 by 2, add another 25. And just to double check, let's see, 50 plus what gives me 146? 96, yeah. So we'll put 97. 95, alright. So if you put if Romulus 23 put 95 forge points, he'd still be at P3. There's no way he can jump me. And that's how to snipe right there. It's pretty easy peasy. If you know the 1.9, you kind of already have an idea of how that works. But for those who don't, you know, intensity, where did he put that? He put something in the 1.9 that basically shows how he does it. He does it in his head. I have no idea where it is. But yeah, you're just going to divide the number by 2, left to level. And if that number, if you can divide that number by 2, and P1 is the reward, is going to be greater than what's left to level, if you divide the remainder by 2, then you're making profit. So definitely something you want to pay attention to. If you're looking for some extra FPs and you got a little bit of bank to play with, now just know that when you do this, some people get mad. They might not want to level their building because they're all butthurt that you sniped them. So make sure you're using forge points that you can play around with, because like I said, people might get salty. They might not want to level their building out of spite. They might not even be logged into the game anymore. So that's another thing you kind of have to take into consideration. But if you see someone who's leveling their buildings, or there's a bunch of buildings that are being leveled at the same time, you kind of get the feeling that they're a little active. If you really want to be extra, you could type their name into, you know, the activity page or whatnot, and I could show you how to do that if you really wanted to know how to do that. But that's just a little too much that I'm personally not willing to do. So that's it in a nutshell. If anyone has any questions, or they want some more like complicated examples, I could try to find some more, but that's kind of it. I showed you how to navigate, you know, sniping buildings where there's no other spots taken. It's just you and the building owner, and he's saying, hey, please take me, you know, respectfully, of course. And then I showed you, you know, sniping buildings where people have already locked up a spot. So, paying attention to that as well. But I think that's all I got for now. Like I said, if you got any questions, reach out to me in the chat, Discord, or in the comments. All right. Well, thanks for watching, everyone. I'll see you next time. Peace.